It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Tonight I'm here with
Umaru Sanda Amadou.
Coming up, tensions high between Ghanaian and Nigerian retailers at the Swami magazine in Kumasi over foreign presence in the retail space. We'll bring you updates from a meeting between the traders and the police.
Renegotiated a married deal in danger of being scrapped by government as opposition to the particular demand is growing.
Also coming up, the Free Zones Board rejects accusations it is hampering revenue collection efforts of the Kpong Katamanso Municipal Assembly within the enclave.
And we'll bring you an update from customers a day after the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of 5 banks.
To the details. And the Ashanti Regional Police Command will tomorrow meet spare parts dealers and local retailers at the Swami magazine in Kumasi to resolve issues between the retailers and their Nigerian counterparts.
Now, the command today held separate meetings with the leadership of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, that is UTAG, and the Nigerian Traders Association following tensions between traders within the enclave.
Staying with that story, our Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has visited the area and has filed this report.
That report shortly,
but the groups seems not to be ending anytime soon. A visit to the market shows that all shops belonging to the Nigerian retailers have been locked up. Leadership of the Nigerian retailers at Swami magazine says its members are living in fear following what it calls incessant attacks on them. They have accused the local retailers and Guta of violently targeting their members and forcefully evicting them from their shops.
Let's move on to some other stories now. And the Ghana National Association of Garages has condemned the attacks on Nigerians by some Ghanaians spare parts dealers at the Swami magazine. At a press conference, the regional chairman of the association, Nana Osaibunsu, said though they support the ban on foreigners retailing in Ghana by government, the association frowns on the persistent attacks mounted on Nigerians by some Ghanaians within the artisanal enclave. Nana Osaibunsu has asked government to amicably settle the issues between the two factions to avoid reprisal attacks on Ghanaian retailers in Nigeria.
Yes, we support the decision of the government of the day, but our concern is that there are more Ghanaians too doing business in Nigeria. Some of them retailing, some of them doing other works like fitting shops and so many works. So if we do that, we don't deal with these Nigerians with care, we are going to bring a serious problem to the people, to the Ghanaians in Nigeria. So we do not agree with the spare parts dealers who have taken the law into their own hands, attacking the Nigerian people in magazine here. Because magazine belongs to Ghana National Association of Garages or the artisans and not for the spare parts dealers. So they can't do whatever they like or they want here for we the garages to bear the consequences. So for this reason, we state categorically that we do not support their action for taking the law into their own hands, attacking the Nigerians. Furthermore, 3 days ago, I also witnessed these spare parts dealers attacking a mechanic, a Ghanaian mechanic, that he is in support of these Nigerians because he is questioning them not to take the law into their own hands, and for this reason they have to beat him up. We are also telling them we will not sit down for the spare parts people to beat the artisans. We will not sit down because magazine do not belong to the spare parts dealers. Magazine belongs to we the artisans.
Now let's remain with that story because our Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has been to the Swami magazine and has this report for us.
It is a busy day here at Swami Magazine as retailers, wholesalers, and mechanics are engaged in BRICS activities. The long-standing feud between local retailers and their Nigerian counterparts here seems not to be ending anytime soon. These retailers who spoke to Citi Business News insist the Nigerian retailers must leave.
Maybe I say any Ancasia some no boy but and Malaya Dumantinia Yuku. By the time the Yania break, Sabaya Memoir, Yanni Ancasa in the area. Then I'm saying, Crepa, by him, why? Since I near Wagana Hano, if you said for the Twaba, why? I say, I hope one never say no mono. And Malco baby, a branch says, oh, could be a store will be crum. By a Ghana for the you almost so no more be. So I say, your mom was on Yana, first for the move a blade, no, my baby, I'm home. Yeah, I'm 27th, July, and that's a form, and that's a for now. Corners, and to 2 almost so good. That's a good one, my Carlos. I pass on when in our head, but you know, I have a catch, that's a for you, Maduma. It's just him, Saban, Mamma, Yankasano, Yadian, and
a visit to the market showed that all shops belonging to the Nigerian retailers are all locked up. One of the Nigerian retailers who had his shop open at the time was forced by the locals to close it down. Another Nigerian retailer who declined to reveal her identity says the development has affected their business.
The situation is that since that getting to 2 days, it's 2 days now because I started on Monday. When we have a families, we have children to feed on. So since that day, when we come, not do anything, go home empty-handed, without selling anything, without earning anything. So it's a very big worry for us.
Leadership of the Nigerian retailers at the Swami Magazine says its members are living in fear following what it calls incessant attacks on them. It has accused the local retailers and Guta of violently targeting its members and forcefully evicting them from their shops. The development comes after a deputy minister for trade and industry, Carlos Ahenkra, in a release said his outfit has suspended the exercise of removing foreigners from Ghana's market in order to intensify sensitization and education in the domestic retail trade sector. Ashanti Regional Chairperson of the Nigerian Traders Association, Kizito Obiora, wants the governments of both countries to come together to find a lasting solution to the matter.
I think Nigerian government, I think this is the time the two countries will come together and the dialogue this thing out. At least we will know our standing. As a ECOWAS country, let us know our standing. This is what we're supposed to do before we do our business. Because I'm telling you, our members are law abiding. We register our company, pay our taxes, and do all this. So I don't think what they are doing is totally illegal. But I think this is the time the government will wake up and tell us and our counterpart, this is our rights and this is what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do.
The Swami Divisional Police Command has beefed up security within the area to avert possible clashes between the feuding parties.
Local retailers here at Swami Magazine are appealing to the government through the Ministry of Trade to ensure all the foreigners, especially Nigerian retailers, are evicted from this place. It has been a long concern for them, but the government has not implemented some concerns. The retailers say they will not allow Nigerian retailers at the Magazine. Reporting from Swami Magazine. My name is Hafiz.
Let's move on to some issues relating to energy now. Citi Newsroom has learned that the government is preparing to withdraw the amended Ameri agreement it laid before Parliament last week. The deal could not be approved by the House before recess because the minority raised some 4 legal issues with the arrangement. The latest move to withdraw the agreement from Parliament, according to Citi Newsroom sources, is to enable government to make some changes and even consult more broadly on the deal. This is expected to happen after Parliament returns from recess. The minority group in Parliament yesterday at a press briefing described the amended agreement of Ameri as bad and asked government to cancel it. So let's get more perspective to this particular story. Our correspondent in Parliament is Duke Mensah-Opoku, and he joins me on the Citi Newsroom. You're welcome, Duke. So what new information are we picking from the corridors of power?
Well, the information we are getting is that apparently something went amiss with regards to the whole package that came from the executive to Parliament. So the executive, that is government, is taking steps to correct that before it is brought back to Parliament, or it is, abandoned entirely. So we hear that there is a cabinet meeting going on, and it's one of the issues that is really high on the agenda. And after that, we would know what really government's take is on this matter.
It's instructive. Looking at the Daily Statesman newspaper for this morning, the publication was almost a done deal. It said that Ameri was over, which meant that the Ameri deal has been taken, or the deal has been withdrawn effectively. And knowing the background of the Daily Statesman newspaper, we should be lending some credence to that story, shouldn't we?
Well, the Daily Statesman is a pro-government newspaper, has very strong links to the government of the day. And in times past, remember that they were the first newspaper to publish issues about taxes and the recalibration of taxes before the media review, and they were spot on. So when issues like that come up, especially with regards to how government communication machinery has even responded to the issues that have been raised with regards to Ameri, and looking at where the Daily Statesman is coming from, it would be not far from right to put some level of higher weight on a story coming from the Daily Statesman.
So we are told that there is a cabinet meeting ongoing, of course, and the decisions will be taken, the announcement will be made. We are even told that the president was misled into giving the executive...
Yes, that's according to the Daily Statesman report.
And that statement, or that comment that was published since morning by the newspaper, has not been debunked or disputed by anybody in government.
But so far, there's not been any communication from government on the deal itself. But what we are picking, the information we are picking, is that it's very high on today's cabinet meeting agenda, and government would make a definite pronouncement about it. Because the minority yesterday went all guns blazing. And I must say that it was through their instrumentality that the deal at the consideration stage of the committee, when it was placed before a joint committee of finance and energy, was halted in the first place. They raising the 4 legal issues of the fact that it did not have a letter under the hand of the finance minister. It didn't have a legal opinion. It didn't have a cost build-up and structure from the PRC with regards to how the tariffs were going to be affected. And the fact that they also didn't have a value for money audit. Importantly, they've also gone, yesterday at a press conference, did an analysis in terms of the numbers, the financials, and pointed out the fact that it would have been better for government to actually pay the remaining $255 million for the next 2.5 years, so that government can own the Ameri plant, rather than to go and engage a third party in an innovation agreement as Miscellaneous International, pay them $71 million every year for the next 15 years. So you end up paying over $1 billion.
Now, if tonight's cabinet decision decides or concludes that the deal be withdrawn, what would be happening in Parliament when the House reconvenes?
It means that it was brought in with a certificate
of urgency.
It will have to be withdrawn or it will be stated that government.
So currently it's on the books of Parliament.
Yes, it's still on the books of Parliament.
So it has to be withdrawn formally.
Yes, we are getting hints that, and this has happened before. I'll cite examples. We are getting hints that Parliament would come back for 1 week in September. So from September 10th, even though this is the long the long vacation for Parliament. So as they've gone in July, last week was July, they would come back in October, 3rd week in October. But in between that period, for 1 week from the September 10th, for the next 5 days, they will be sitting. And this was supposed to be one of the things on the agenda.
Well.
Once government decides against it, what will have to be done, as was in the case with the first Office of the Special Prosecutor Bill, before it was and then really, they will just have to withdraw it. And if they want to relay it, correct, and then bring it back to
Thank you so much. Duke Mensah-Opoku, our correspondent in Parliament. I really appreciate your input on this particular subject. Let's stay with that particular story, the Ameri deal, withdrawal or otherwise. Let's go on the phone line and speak to the Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Securities. He is Pakwesi Anamwa Sechi, and he's joined us on that. And you're welcome, sir, to the Citi Newsroom. This indication we are picking from the corridors of power, is there anything that you have also picked up suggesting that the deal would be withdrawn?
Thank you very much, and good evening to you and your viewers. We picked the same indication that Cabinet is meeting today to take a second look at the document that was brought to the Parliament by the Energy Minister. So we've gotten a similar indication. We are just waiting to see what the meeting outcome will be.
Would that be welcome news for your outfit?
It will be a very refreshing news for us, not just for our outfit, but for Ghanaians, because we all supported the review of this Ameridi deal, knowing very well that this government criticized it in 2015, saying that it's bloated, and so they will do value for money audit on that and make us give us savings. But what the minister brought to Parliament was worse than what is existing today. And so we spoke against it and said that it was awful and it was bad and it stinks. We were clear when we did indicate that the figures that was used by the minister was there were a lot of errors in his calculation. And so the claim of $400 million savings over the period that he said, we said that's equally flawed. And today we seem to be vindicated now that Cabinet wants to take a second look at it.
All right, so quickly remind us, for those who are not aware, what is wrong fundamentally with this new arrangement with Ameri?
The issue is this. Ameri was structured as a build, operate, and transfer to the government of Ghana. So after 5 years, the plant becomes ours. The 250 megawatt plant becomes ours. We are 2.5 years into the contract, just 2.5 years for us to own it. And remember that this type of plant is called an aeroderivative turbine plant. It's been run by VRA before. A similar one has been run by VRA before. And so it means that we have capacity to run our own plant that we will have in less than 3 years. If you want to give my plant away to somebody else, even from Ameri to Metalinos, for Metalinos to run for us at a cost and make a savings for himself and for whichever party that he came with, we think that this is quite unfortunate. That is one. And even the rate that they were charging, it is quite expensive than what Ameri is charging. And when we look at the 15-year period, we'll be paying about $75 million a year. This will amount to more than $1 billion over the 15-year period.
Very well.
We think that we need to own the plant in 2.5 years. We have capacity to run it as a country. And also remember that this plant is not a combined cycle plant. It's not so efficient.
Okay.
And so other combined cycle plants that are efficient will have priority over this plant. So the time is coming where this plant will be idle. But if you give it to a third party, whether the plant runs or not, it's a take or pay agreement. We need to pay the person.
Very well.
But if it's for us and we are not running, we only do a minimum maintenance and keep it.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Pakwesi Anamwa Sechi. There, he is the Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Securities. Let's move on to some other stories. Now, the National Resource Governance Coordinator of Friends of the Nation, Solomon Kwesi Ampofo, has warned that the gap between allocation and utilization of petroleum revenues for projects at the grassroots could deepen corruption perception and mistrust between the people and government. This, he says, will be a recipe for social unrest. Mr. Ampofo spoke to Citi Newsroom's Akwesi Ejeanim, I beg your pardon, from Takrady.
This Shama District Clinic expansion, for instance, was started by the Kufuor administration but was never completed. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee's 2015 report, however, disclosed that 62,062 Ghana cedis oil revenue had been earmarked for its completion. The facility is expected to be elevated to a polyclinic status when operationalized. Despite the 2015 allocation, the project has still not seen the light of day. Chief Executive of Shama, Joseph Amwa, tells Citi News he has no knowledge of the allocations made for the project.
I've no clue about any oil money being allocated to the project. I've also done some checks since I resumed the office from the district finance officer, from the coordinating director, from the engineer, and there's no information about that.
It is against this background of disconnect between the allocation and utilization of petroleum revenues at the grassroots that development partners, GIZ, and the non-governmental organization, Friends of the Nation, organized a national stakeholders engagement on petroleum sector governance in Takoradi. Speaking on the sidelines of the engagement, the Natural Resource Governance Coordinator of the Friends of the Nation, Solomon Kusiampofo, elaborated on the dangers posed by this clear disconnect between allocations made from oil revenues and utilization of same.
Since 2011, about $4 billion have accrued to the state from the sale of oil and gas resources. Though it is not substantial, but I think it is crucial that we begin to understand how these revenues are being utilized. Currently, if you go around and interview many people, especially from the western coast of Ghana, they will tell us that we have not seen anything. We are not seeing the benefit of the oil revenues. So unless we find an innovative way of informing the citizenry, because one, it breeds mistrust between the citizen and also the government and also the state as well. It's also a recipe for corruption, because whilst people are not aware that oil money has been allocated for certain projects in their communities and that they should also follow up, it can also arise with abuse of those monies. Then also, it can also lead to even the beneficiaries.
Now, the chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, Dr. Steve Mantia, has described the proposed two-track education system as a consequence of government's failure to complete the numerous abandoned oil-funded projects upon assumption of office.
Now, the PIAC chairman, speaking to Citi TV's Akwese J. in Takoradi, said though the government approved over 700 million Ghana cedis for the year 2017, a chunk of the money was spent on recurrent expenditures rather than on such capital projects as the abandoned school projects.
Who produces gold? Money.
Dr. Steve Mantia was speaking at a national stakeholder engagement on petroleum sector governance aimed at bridging the gap between allocation and utilization of petroleum revenues. The engagement, facilitated by GIZ and the Friends of the Nation, brought together chiefs, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders within the oil and gas sector. The PIAC chairman, in presenting findings from PIAC's nationwide inspection of oil-funded projects, revealed that numerous uncompleted oil-funded school projects started by previous governments have been abandoned.
An amount of 700 million Ghana cedis, a little bit in excess of that, was approved by Parliament for spending in that year. By close of the year, government has managed to spend only 300 million of that budgeted amount, which was approved. This was money available for spending. Now, all this money went into recurrent expenditure, nothing in infrastructure. And again, there is other 400 million that is not accounted for. Now, if you have a pool of resources set aside for spending a particular year, and in the course of that year you spend nothing on infrastructure, then there is a problem. You find that if we had maybe taken our time, and in the first year of this administration, we had directed resources to completing a lot of these projects, especially the education-related ones, there's a way in which we would have established a proper infrastructure base for the free SHS to take off. We've been to a few schools where there are a lot of uncompleted school projects, and yet we are rolling out free SHS. And so it comes as no surprise to me that we run into these challenges that is warranting a two-track system.
Reporting for Citi Newsroom, I am Akwesi Eje Enim, Takoradi.
Yes, so watching the Citi Newsroom, my name is Vivian Kai Loko. Tonight I'm here with
Umaru Sanda Amadou.
When we come back, we'll bring you the latest on the Consolidated Bank. Don't go away.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Sela Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
You're welcome back. Now, government is set to implement a national public sector reform strategy, which is expected to transform public institutions into public-facing agencies with enhanced service delivery. The 5-year strategy spanning 2018 to 2023 will target institutions such as a passport office, birth and death registry, among others, with a view to improving client service, turnaround time, and the other key deliverables. Briefing the press, Chief Executive Officer of the Public Sector Reforms, Thomas Kusi Buafo, said the strategy is critical to the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, which will be launched by the President next week.
Ghana's public sector provides jobs for thousands, but it has been tagged as bloated and inefficient due to the quality of service delivered at public institutions. With the aim of changing the narrative around this sector, government is set to implement a new 5-year strategy that would reform the entire public service. Addressing the media, CEO of Public Sector Reforms, Thomas Kusi Buafo, bemoaned the current state of public service delivery.
I don't have to sing a sermon to tell you the frustrations people go through in the collection of their pension, passport delivery, the way the turnaround times of doing businesses, numerous frustrations that you all go through, including the issue of bring brown envelope, go back and come and speak proper English, otherwise I will not do something for you. We want to get rid of this. You go to the passport office, the same frustration, long queues for passports. It is not having certificate. Let me tell you, passport is not having certificate. We should be able to do passports, not coming to Accra to queue and sleep outside. You can stay elsewhere, do it online. Available facilities are there for you to be delivered to you on time.
According to the Chief Director at the Office of the Senior Minister, Dr. Samuel Abubonshra, a robust monitoring and evaluation system has been put in place to ensure the smooth implementation of the reforms.
We have a very strong collaboration with the Ministry of M&E. The Ministry was involved even in the review of the reform strategy. And there is a very heavy dose of monitoring and evaluation within the document.
The CEO of Public Sector Reforms, Thomas Kusi Buafo, further indicated that the strategy is key to the President's Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
In view of the importance government attached to the reform agenda, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will launch the strategy document.
Every year, a little over 50% of the country's revenue is committed to the public sector by way of wages and salaries. But day in, day out, Ghanaians complain about the quality of services that are delivered at these public institutions and public-facing agencies. Will this public sector reforms that will be launched next week mark the new beginning in terms of service delivery at the various public sector agencies? We live to see. For Citi News from the Information Ministry, I am Duke Mensah Opoku.
Now, customers of the new Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited have expressed mixed reactions over the revocation of licenses of 5 local banks by the Bank of Ghana. Some of the customers have resorted to withdrawing all their cash over uncertainty of their deposits. And the following report, Pius Emiya Duku takes a look at how the banking industry is going to be affected as the central bank sanitizes the sector.
The Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited assumed management of the 5 banks whose licenses have been revoked on August 1, 2018. Barely 24 hours into its operations, and there are mixed expectations of customers of the affected banks. Unibank, Beige Bank, Sovereign Bank, the Royal Bank, and the Construction Bank ceased to operate. Their directors and shareholders have no control henceforth, but their staff are to be absorbed by the Consolidated Bank. Customers who had expected to transact early morning business were disappointed as the receiver, KPMG, and officials of the Bank of Ghana had to undertake an audit before commencing operations at 1 p.m. The offices will soon be open to business, and clients visit the branches to undertake one transaction or another.
I'm not that much anxious or that much worried, because Unibank has been in existence for some years now, and I know with what the BOG just said to us, that our deposits are still intact. We have the confidence that everything is okay.
I came here to withdraw my money because one way or the other, they are not giving us the right issues as to what will affect our income, our savings. So personally, I came around to probably, withdraw my money. But I want to withdraw it and then later see how best, the banks can whether Bank of Ghana in any way can, bring something, sanity to the banks so that I can bring it back. But for now, I have to withdraw it. I have no option. My savings.
At exactly 1 p.m., the gate was open for us to enter, and I got in, and in less than 10 minutes, I'm served. They were asking me to still make deposit because from their looks, there's nothing. And my question I keep on asking is, even if I withdraw my money from here, where am I taking it to?
In all these, the central bank has cited the directors and shareholders of the 5 banks for various offences for which offenders will be duly sanctioned. Commenting on the task ahead of the new management, economist Professor Godfred Bokpin explained that the decision to eventually lay off workers and reduce the size of the 5 banks may perhaps qualify as the toughest.
In the immediate, the assumption is that there will be no job losses, but that is only in the immediate. In the medium to the long term, there will be restructuring. There will be the need to integrate HR issues, IT issues, and all of that. Certainly, for efficiency-wise, they cannot maintain all the branches. It makes no sense that Capital Bank branch is just here. This one is also here, Royal, Construction, whatever. So they will rationalize all of that. And in that process, there will be some job losses somewhere along the line. Others will have to take a pay cut to remain on the payroll. Others will have to take a haircut to be able to find their level in the banking system.
The ground rules have been set. 5 banks have been knocked off. We ask, are there any more to go? Time will definitely tell. For Citi News, I am Pius Amihe Eduku.
Now, the Executive Secretary for the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Michael Ochibefi, says the Kpong Katamaso Municipal Assembly cannot force companies within the Free Zones enclave to pay property taxes. This is in response to a petition by some residents of the area to the Senior Minister Yao Osafo Mafo, suggesting that he was obstructing the collection of property taxes by the municipality. Ni Amama of the Citi Newsroom has the following report.
There are over 50 companies within the Free Zones enclave at the Katamanso Municipal Assembly. For a long time now, these companies have failed to pay their property taxes. Not even constant reminders from the assembly will make them pay. Solomon Apia is the MCE for the assembly.
They work under the Free Zone Board. And so the laws of what the Free Zone is having is what they want to operate on. But we are talking about properties. You see, there is no property anywhere that you say, I have this and I've been exempted from paying my property rate. Churches are paying their property rate. Everybody is supposed to pay the property rate. We are even not collecting the BOP from them, business operating permits, because they are working with the Free Zone. We allow that one. If Free Zone is not collecting the business operating, we will add it to ours and pick it. And that is what we are creating, the awareness for everybody to understand that we need these taxes to develop the municipalities to complement the efforts of what the central government is doing.
But the Ghana Free Zones Authority insists that the assembly has no right to demand the tax. Here is the executive secretary of the authority, Michael Ochre Befi.
You cannot just enter my territory and come and tell my staff to sit down. Come to us. Let's have discussion. You have done that. And we told you to hold on. We're going to have a discussion with them. We'll talk. You can't write to them direct without our knowledge. You are writing to them to do what? What right do you have to write to them? What is your low cost? Tell us. What's a clout? I mean, you on the whole basis that you are writing to the Free Zones enterprises without the Free Zones Authority. It is not done anywhere.
He added that the assembly should have gone through the Free Zones Authority to voice their concerns over the non-payment of the taxes instead of approaching the companies themselves.
It is out of place. It doesn't make sense because you have to go through the normal process. We work with. You could have even written to your ministry to write to the Minister of Trade, and the Ministry of Trade will just talk to us that do this, that. I mean, they are supervisory ministry, and we will deal with them. But you cannot just stand up, go straight to the enclave and write letters to them. You understand? Do you know that? I mean, seriously, what clout do you have? That's what I want to know. On what basis do you do that? You don't have the capacity. And that's why I said that they have erred big time. And they want to justify what they did. And I am telling them that they don't have any case. Because we have never said in our interaction with them that we will not pay. We only wrote to them, the Free Zones companies, because of what they did.
Reporting for Citi News from the Katamanso municipality here in Accra, my name is Ni Ama.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom on Citi TV, coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Lope in Adabraka in Accra. I am Umaru Sandamadu here with
Vivian Kai Loco.
When we come back, the National Democratic Congress says on December 7, they'll decide who their flag bearer would be. Stay with us.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
What one action have you taken? What one statement have you issued?
Well, we've been issuing statements, even this...
on the specific issue of...
This very one.
Of no bed syndrome. Since you are saying that you've had this before.
Well, we keep talking.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
The Citi FM Literacy Challenge is back. Are you a JHS student? Are you willing to contribute to change? What would you do if you were the president of Ghana? Do you want to win a whopping 10,000 Ghana cedis? If yes, then participate in the Literacy Challenge 2018. Level 1. The year is 2035. The law allows people below age 40 to contest the presidency. As a presidential candidate in a general election, in no less than 600 words, write your manifesto speech. Remember, letter must be in your own handwriting, must be endorsed by a parent or guardian, add your full contact details, and post to the Literacy Challenge, P.O. Box GP 14123 Accra Central, or drop it off at the front desk of Citi FM at the Braka behind the police station. Level 2. The top 50 students selected from all over Ghana shall take a written general knowledge quiz. And finally, Level 3. The top 10 students shall compete in the classic quiz competition to win the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis. The Literacy Challenge is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and sponsored by Data Bank Edifund and MoneyGram with support from Citi TV. Closing day for entries is Friday, 10th August 2018. Call 0205-973-973 for more inquiries. Terms and conditions apply.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on Citi TV and Citi 97.3 FM.
Welcome back to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, tonight I'm here with
Umaru Sanda Amadou.
Now, the National Democratic Congress, that's the NDC, has given its blessing for flag-bearer aspirants to begin campaigning ahead of the 2020 general elections.
Now, this was revealed by the NDC's General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia at a press briefing today in Accra. Citi News' Kojo Ajiman has the details of that event in this report.
The party says it has with immediate effect opened campaigning for flag-bearer hopefuls of the party ahead of the 2020 elections. This means all flag-bearer hopefuls can now go ahead to court the support of party members. So far, about 5 members of the NDC have declared their intentions to contest as flag-bearers of the party ahead of the 2020 polls. They include a former Trades and Industry Minister under the John Mahama administration, Dr. Ekospio Gabra, a former Vice-Chancellor of the University for Professional Studies, Professor Joshua Alabi, and Member of Parliament for Nandoli Kalio, Alban Bagwen. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, at a press briefing in Accra today, had a message for them.
declare the campaign season for our presidential hopefuls open with immediate effect. And so the purpose of this press conference is to indicate to you that on behalf of the National Executive Committee, I declare the campaign season for our presidential hopefuls open with immediate effect.
The General Secretary, who took the opportunity to clarify some endorsements making rounds, said it is inappropriate for the minority as a body of parliament to throw its weight behind one candidate.
So let's have an understanding of what exactly the NDC intends to do, because, mind you, the party has just finished with constituency elections. Indeed, there are 3 outstanding constituencies where there are not elections have not been conducted. The regional elections of the party have not been conducted, and the national executive elections have not been conducted. So why are we talking about flag bearer elections, which is usually done at the last minute? Fred Agbanyo is the Deputy National Communications Officer of the NDC, and he joins me on the line. You're welcome to the Citi Newsroom. Fred, why are you jumping the gun, announcing that flag bearers could start campaigning even before you get your national officers intact?
Thank you very much. I think that our party constitution has said that when we are in opposition, we have a flag bearer 2 years before the general election. That means that by 7th of December, we should have a flag bearer. And so, looking at the time we have now, we are already in August, and so we can't wait again in the opening of the nomination, because they have to go around all the constituencies, 275 states vote for them. So we have just decided to leave the ban on campaign. They can go ahead and start their campaign, but that does not mean that we have opened on listing for them to pick up the form and complete. Now there are only 3 campaigns. After the national elections, we open the nomination for them to pick the forms and officially file their nominations and continue their campaign.
All right, so what does it mean in practice? You expect them to inform you before starting the campaign, or anybody at all who wanted to be a flag bearer of your party could just hit the grounds with their loudspeakers and start playing music and saying that they wanted to be voted for?
Well, I think that we have a party constitution, and it defines who qualifies to contest as a flag bearer of our party. And so we expect those who have checked the constitution and convinced that they are qualified to officially write to the General Secretary's office and notify him of their willingness to contest as a flag bearer. Once you do that, then we give you the clearance. Then you can move into the region, you can use party colors, you can do your posters and what have you, meet party people and start the campaign. But at the time, we will not be able to recognize you as one who wants to contest on our ticket.
But who are they going to be campaigning to, though? Because you do not have the full complement of your delegates set yet, do you?
Yeah, that is true, but a majority of the delegates are already in place. All the constituency executives are likely to be delegates at the South African conference. We have finished almost all the constituency elections. I think we are left with Spain out of the 275. The regional elections, as we indicated at the press conference, will come up on the 1st of September. So at that time, we will have a full complement of who delegates are. Even as of now, those of us who have been for national elections, they're going to wait for the regional elections. They are not known. And so any flag bearer who is mindful, know who to talk to and who to contact for the campaign.
Do you not have a situation where, flag bearer aspirants will end up pitching camp with your national executives? Because, mind you, you are the current executives and your tenure will be running out soon. You would have to be re-elected. Would you not be put in a conflict situation where you would be supporting one candidate against the other, and by extension affecting the outcome of the elections and giving unfavorable advantage to one candidate against the other?
Well, we expect all national executive officers to live above board and be mindful of the unity of the party, conduct themselves in a way that will not bring about any confusion and any division among us. As you said, people may want to pick camp, but it can be advantageous or disadvantageous depending upon how one looks at it. If you go and pick up a particular aspirant who is not liked by some delegates, and then you go to that place to go and campaign, they may tell that because you are working with person A or person B, they will not vote for your candidature. And so I'm sure all the national executives will be very mindful of this, and they will approach it very cautiously.
Now, let's conclude by asking you to run us through what your calendar is for the regional elections, the outstanding constituency elections, and the National Delegates Conference, where you'll be electing national executives.
Well, as I said, we are left about 3 constituencies to finish. 2 of them in the Eastern region, apropos, and one other. I think the legal issue is still in court. Once they finish the legal issue, the elections will come up. One other one in Accra, Mastermind, I think the election is coming up on this Saturday. And so that will mean that we'll finish all the constituency elections and hopefully before even the regional elections commences. Regional elections, as I think to you now, the vetting is going on across the entire country. Eastern region did that yesterday. Western region, they are doing there tomorrow. Greater Accra did today. And all other regions. We had originally wanted them to have the elections on the 25th of this month, as we have rescheduled to 1st of September for all the regions to have Congress on that same day. We are looking forward to have the National Congress on the 21st of September, all season before, and elect our national officers. And thereafter, the national officers will sit down and come out with the guidelines for the flag bearership, elect the parliamentary candidate for offer for constituencies. And by offer constituency, I mean constituency in which NDC doesn't have parliamentary candidates. Then maybe towards 2020, we will do a second election to elect members of parliament for where we have sitting MPs. Then the entire team will have been set and ready for 2020 campaign and election.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Fred Agbenyo is the Deputy National Communications Officer of the NDC, who is hoping to be elected as a substantive National Communications Officer of that party. Let's move on. And Textile Ghana Limited, GTP, is asking government to scrap the required 3% VAT flat rate local producers pay on top of the 17.5% VAT. In a Citi News interview, marketing manager of the company said this phenomenon is killing local businesses as it adds to the cost of finished products.
Well, we do have a real big issue about a 3% flat rate for retail entities in Ghana for locally manufactured goods. The reason being that all the locally manufactured goods pay standard 17.5% VAT. Then we sell to our retail chains who are supposed to pay 3% flat rate on top of the 17.5% which we pay. Now, if you have a 2-level distribution structure, it means the first level will pay 3%, the second level of retail would also pay 3%, which all adds up to the cost of the final product to the consumer. And so our request to the government or to the Ministry of Finance is at least all the 3% should be exempted, or retailers should be exempted from the 3% VAT rate for locally manufactured goods. Not just us, we're not asking for this for only the textile industry, but all other industries, the electrical cables, the chocolate producers, everything produced locally should be exempted.
And the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Meo, says the government is investigating the operational lapses of the Ghana Bauxite Company.
The company reportedly failed to pay a penalty of $90 million for axle load overloads. During a tour of the company yesterday, Mr. Meo said government will not relent in keeping companies in line.
Bauxite mining in the heart of the Afua forest in Awaso has been ongoing for over 7 decades. In 2010, a Chinese firm, Bauxite Minerals Group, and the Ghana Bauxite Company, under an 80-20 percentage share under their name Bauxite Company Limited, is operating in this forest. After 8 years of this joint operation, it only declared a $40,000 profit in 2015. But they have intentions of extending their operations to Bubakari and Afumba forest reserves all in the Western region. They have indeed started negotiations with the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry for prospecting in these reserves. This request comes at a time the company has reportedly failed to pay a penalty of $90 million for axle load overloads. The sector minister, John Peter Amewu, says besides their request not being granted, they will also be investigated.
There are sanctions mechanisms in agreement, and those would have to be, looked at. Yeah.
In 2017, the company shipped 1.5 million metric tons of bauxite ore without adding value to the component.
Every bauxite ore that is mined here is sent in its raw state outside the shores of Ghana. Indeed, this company mined between 120,000 and 150,000 tons of bauxite and is sent it outside the shores of Ghana. This is a major source of worry for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. So what is the ministry doing to make sure that there is value addition in the mining of bauxite?
This is happening at a time government is on a value addition crusade.
The president's concern for value addition, and it is key that we must begin to add some value to our raw materials, because it's clear that we have not benefited from the raw materials. It has been extracted and taken out of this country. So the value addition aspect, it's very important, and we all witness to the recent bill passed in Parliament to add some addition to our bauxite. So the signal is clear to this company that from that date, within a period of about 5 years, we're not going to allow raw bauxite in its current form to be taken out of this country. So we are concerned about some of the rules and then the regulations that have been flouted by some of this concern. It's a major concern to us. Yeah.
In the next 4 years, mining of bauxite will cease in this area. The bauxite company wants to renew their mining lease, which will expire in 2022. The ministry says until it is motivated by operations of the bauxite mining company, it may not renew its mining contract. My name is Kojo Ajman, reporting for Citi News from Awaso in the Western region.
And that's it for today's edition of the Citi Newsroom. Visit citinewsroom.com for more news. My name is Vivian Kai Loko.
And I am Umaru Sanda Amadu.
Thank you so much for your time. Good night.